All right, today we're going to take a look at C.H.A.M.P.S. C.H.A.M.P.S stands for conversation, help, activity, movement, participation, and success. So when we have an activity that we're doing in class, what we want to do is we want to use the C.H.A.M.P.S acronym to give us an idea of what the kids will be doing as it relates to those five categories. So let's take a look at what each of those ones means in a little bit more detail. So, first one is conversation. When I'm looking at conversation, I want to let kids know, is it okay for them to talk to each other? If so, what are they allowed to talk about? Who are they allowed to talk to? Are they only allowed to talk to other kids in their group? How many kids can be involved in that group? And how long should the conversation last? So when I set up an activity and I give them C.H.A.M.P.S, the C is going to tell them exactly those things. I might also use levels for conversation in the classroom. So I could use 0 to 4. 0 would be for absolute silence, so working quietly, independently, silently. I might allow talking, partner talking, I might allow group talking, or I might allow them to use their outside voice if they're talking to the whole classroom. So I can identify who they can talk to, what they can talk about, and how loud they should be talking if they do get a chance to talk. So that really helps. And then that leads us to the next one, which is help. So help is an identifier to what is the process that kids are going to use in asking for help, right? So how should students get questions answered during this activity, right? Are they going to raise their hand? How are they going to get my attention as the teacher? So I might tell them that during this activity that they should raise their hand and I'll answer them. I might ask them to ask the person sitting next to them first and then raise their hand. I might also have a sign for help. So maybe I have the kids put their book up on end and stand it on their desk. And when I see that, I know that that student needs help. That way he doesn't have to raise his hand and call attention to himself. He doesn't have to call out. When I see the book up on end, I know that I need to go over there and see what's going on. So the help part is definitely going to be based on what's best for the activity at hand. And the activity is the next part of our C.H.A.M.P.S acronym. Activity is what is the expected end product of the activity. So I'm going to share my objectives with the kids, like I always do at the beginning of class. I'm going to share clear steps and directions. I want to let them know what is due and when. I want to let them know what form is the final product for this class graded assignment look like. And I want to let them know how do they get full credit. So it might be something they turn in. It might be something they have to do. What do they have to do to get full credit? It might be a rubric that I share with them, and I might just put down on my activity part of my chart, rubric, or rubric for public speaking, whatever it might be. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to movement, right? So what is allowed for the kids during this activity? Can they get out of their seats during the activity? If they can, what would be some acceptable reasons? Like, it's okay to go sharpen your pencil. It's okay to get up and get the bathroom pass. Whatever you feel is best for the kids, right? You might also set up a 0 to 4, right? With 0 meaning you have to stay in your seat no matter what. 1, you have to ask permission. 2, it's okay to move around the room for important things like maybe gathering materials or sharpening pencils. And then 4 would be emergency only. So you could either use a number system for movement or you could be more specific, right? So you have to stay in your seats. If you need to sharpen your pencils, that's okay. But maybe you need to raise your hand to do that. Or you don't have to raise your hand to sharpen your pencil. Whatever you're going to allow for movement, let the kids know. And then the next thing is participation. So what behaviors in this class will show that the students are fully participating and they're doing it responsibly? What behaviors are going to show when they're not participating, right? So I might put a 0 to 5 up on the board. Participation might look like peer talking, or it might look like listening. It might look like note taking. So if I'm reading, they should be 2 taking notes. I might ask that they have to be on task, so they should be following along. I might ask that they have to participate in discussion or that they have to read or write something. So what are the kids going to do to get participation? And conversely, what is it going to look like if they're not going to get participation points from my class? So C.H.A.M.P.S, when I draw this on the board, and I would put it in the same spot every day, I'm going to identify those things. What does conversation look like? What do they do if they need help? What's the activity going to be? That could be my agenda and objectives. What is movement that is acceptable in the classroom? What's unacceptable? And then lastly, what does participation look like? Again, the S stands for success. So if they do all the first 5 things, they will get the S in C.H.A.M.P.S. So this is a great acronym to teach students how to be successful in a lot of different ways. If they're doing classwork, if they're doing assessments, if they're doing transitions, if they're in the hallway, you can see how it's going to change based on what you're trying to get out of the kids. But it always is a framework that they're going to be familiar with, and many times you won't have to change a lot of it to move on to the next activity. So if you're using PowerPoint or an agenda or something where you're doing things electronically, it's not too hard to generate a C.H.A.M.P.S for activities. And you can reuse those as well. So if you use Poster Board, if you use Google Slides or Microsoft PowerPoint, you can just reuse those things every time the activity calls for that particular set of C.H.A.M.P.S rules. And then the next thing that I want to talk about not only is C.H.A.M.P.S, but the second thing is double planning. And this is really helpful for teachers, whether you're new to the grade level, or just need some help in getting kids under control. Double planning is the process in which you plan for what both you and your students will do at each point of the lesson. So if I am doing this, the kids are going to do that. So here's an example on the screen here of what a double plan might look like. When I do this, the students are going to do that. So you might use a T-chart to do this. You could write into your lesson plans, right? So this is a good way to set up expectations, and you can also project this as well if you wanted to. When I greet the students, they're going to be opening up to page 12. When I project the bell work, they're going to be taking out a sheet of paper, and they're going to start questions 1 through 3 on the bell work. When I review the bell work, they're going to be looking back at the bell work, and they're going to be writing down any questions that they have. When I read the introduction of the piece we're going to start to do, they're going to take notes on the guided note sheet that I gave them. When we do the guided practice, they're going to complete the prompts in a Microsoft Word doc, etc., right? So double plan is a great way to think about it, because so often we think about what we do as teachers that we don't always think about what the kids are doing as we do those things. So C.H.A.M.P.S and double plan, I hope that you can try to implement these into your classroom, and let me know how I can help you to set these up or to have success with them. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.